To all the real ones tuning in at the beginning of today's show, welcome in to Steelers Talk live here on a Wednesday. Mr. Jeffrey Cooperstein and I will bring Coop on in just a second here, but let's talk about what we're going to talk about today because we're on our bye week here. We don't have a game coming up this weekend. We got a nice little chance to get a little healthy this week, preparing for that road matchup versus the Los Angeles Rams in Week 7. But as for today's show, we got a great lineup of stuff that we're going to be breaking down with you guys today. First, I'm going to start with some Steelers trade targets that have been floated around here on Steelers Twitter and on Steelers Twitter the last couple of days and give you guys my thoughts on those potential trade ideas. Then also, I am going to update my record prediction for the Pittsburgh Steelers after their 3-2 start to the 2023 NFL season. The Steelers are in first place in the AFC North, at least for now. Will that translate to an AFC North crown? I am going to let you know what I think in just a couple of minutes. And then, of course, we got the Steelers Talk live mailbag coming your way here in just a couple of minutes as well. So if you want to get a question on today's show, get in the comments section right now and use hashtag Steelers or Super Chat along with your question, and we will get your question on today's show. We're heading into the bye. There's a bunch of question marks floating around the Pittsburgh Steelers franchise right now. So if you got a question and you want me to answer it here on Steelers Talk live for you, go ahead and get those questions down there. Hashtag Steelers or Super Chat. Now I want to bring on our producer here, my partner in crime here, Jeffrey Cooperstein. How we doing, my friend?
I'm good, and we're starting out with the Super Chat from AJ and Nacho, which looks like to be a pair of dogs.
AJ and Nacho with a $1 Super Chat. Thank you so much for that $1. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. All right, Coop, let's get this thing underway. Are you ready to talk some Steelers football today?
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed it's a bye week, but you know.
Me too, man. You always want to see Steelers play on a weekend, but it has to come at some point. But hey, Coop, we just gotta bear it for this week, and then for the next 12 weeks in a row, Steelers football, baby. So we got a nice opportunity to get healthy here, which I really like, Coop.
Let's go.
And Coop's excited, man. He's been waiting to wave that terrible towel all week long. Let's go, man. So let's talk a little bit about the Steelers here. And, of course, Andrew Filipponi, yesterday confirmed that the Steelers are going to be retaining Matt Canada, the offensive coordinator, past the bye week here, so he will officially be calling plays in Los Angeles next weekend.
He stinks.
And, Coop, I mean, that's kind of the way that I feel about it, too. It's like, they ended up winning that game against Baltimore.
Not because of him.
But it definitely wasn't because of Matt Canada. It was because of Kenny Pickett clutching up there at the end.
George
it was because
Pickens.
just look at that video of Matt Canada just completely just not happy whatsoever about a game-sealing touchdown that pretty much saved his job. No, I mean, I'm not really one that criticizes that as much as some other people, Coop. I know it's a bad look because all the other coaches are celebrating and Canada is just sitting there like a blank-faced, and people are like, is he not happy for his quarterback? Is he not happy that they just scored a touchdown? But at the same time, I think that he was kind of just locked in because I think Mike Tomlin was probably in his ear saying, if we get a touchdown, we're going for 2 on this drive. And he was thinking of what play he wanted to call next.
No doubt.
And, I just think that that's, of all the things to get mad at Matt Canada about, and I'm certainly no Matt Canada apologist here if you've watched the show before, but, if that's the thing that you're really targeting him on, I just think that that's not really the thing.
You can get mad at Matt Canada for so many things. That doesn't have to be one.
Yeah, that doesn't have to be the thing. But let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. Will the Steelers regret this decision to keep Matt Canada past the bye? I think they probably will, Coop. I think that...
Oh, they'll regret it for sure.
I mean, I have a feeling that he's going to get fired at some point this season. And now if you fire him mid-season, the new offensive coordinator doesn't have the 2 weeks that you could potentially have here with the bye week to get himself ready. So you're kind of putting your new offensive coordinator, your interim offensive coordinator, behind the 8 ball here by not pulling the trigger here in week 6.
I want to shout out DJ KJ, and we'll answer this question in the mailbag as well. Make sure you use hashtag Steelers or Super Chat. He says, can we get rid of Canada, Tomlin, and Gunner? Two of the 3 I am fully on board of getting rid of. And you can guess which 2 those are.
Yeah.
Matt Canada and Gunnar Olszewski is the worst punt returner I have ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, I'll answer this question in the mailbag, DJ KJ. I'd agree with Coop. 2 out of the 3, I'll let you decide which 2 you think that those are. 2 out of the 3, I'm 100% on board with that. All right, now what will the Steelers' final record be for the 2023 season? I'm going to give you my official prediction here later on in today's show. It'll be our 3rd segment, so make sure you stick around for that. But let me know what you guys think. I'll give you guys a shout out down in the chat. Parker Dogs and Rabbits says 9-7. It has to be 9-8.
17 games, remember.
Remember, it's 17 games. So Justin Cross says 9-8. Ben's Randomness says 9-8. CM Punk says 14-3.
We're going to win out.
So they have 2 losses.
2 losses, so yeah.
So that'd be one more loss.
So
CM Punk only thinks they're losing 1 more game. Then we got Red Boy 10-7. Illusion Aviator says with Canada 9-8 or 10-7. Without, he'd say 11-6 or 12-5. Okay, I like that one. Jared Sanchez says 10-7. GM Evan Hinders 8-1. Apparently we're gonna tie a game there, Coop. Just Webb's World, what's up? Just Webb's World says 10-7. Raul says 11-6. Patty Gus says, oh, my mother is here. How you doing, Mom?
And Cassie.
And Cassie's here, too. Let's go.
The entire Sperry family.
We got the fam in here. I love it. My mom thinks they're going to go 8-9. What do you think about that, Coop?
Your mom might be onto something there.
She might be onto something.
If Matt Canada's still the offensive coordinator, they might go 2-15.
He stinks. All right, what does Cassie think? Cassie thinks they're going 12-5. So that would probably be an AFC North division championship there, Coop.
I like that.
Diego A says 9-8. Jeff says 13-4.
I'm in.
Darwin Nolan is calling out my mother in the chat. She says, no, your mom is wrong.
Well, he said Cassie is more correct.
Cassie is more correct. Okay, so he thinks more of the 12-5 range than the 8-9 range. Darwin's somebody that's definitely confident in the Pittsburgh Steelers. I love him, man. I love that guy, even though, hey, man, keep my mom's name out your damn mouth. All right?
Will Smith style.
All right, man. So we've got a great menu here for Super Chat items. We don't have a watch party this weekend, so if you got some money to spend this week on Super Chats, today is your opportunity. We've got an awesome slate of Super Chat items. We're doing some new stuff today, okay? So $5, we'll do a Here We Go Steelers chant. We got the terrible towels here. We'll wave them around for you. And then also $10, you get to spin the wheel of death, all right? So Coop kind of curated this awesome wheel of a bunch of different things. There's Bean Boozled jelly beans, tortilla slaps on there, the O Canada song. We'll spin that for you for a $10 Super Chat, and we'll get things going. We'll have some fun. But then also, if you just want me to get slapped, a $20 Super Chat is what it will cost. We actually don't have tortillas in the office today. We got paper plates, but these actually hurt worse, all right? So $20 slaps, definitely a good deal. And then we're going to try something new today for $50 Super Chats. We got this peanut butter here, and for $50, I'll lather it across my lip, and then I'll have to lick it off with my tongue on camera, all right? So we'll try that out, see if you guys like that.
Does Cassie know about this?
Cassie does not know about this.
Well, she does now.
I did not. I came up with it this afternoon at my desk. So $100 total today. You get to join the Steelers Talk Gold Club. You get extra entries into our raffles. You also get a nice Steelers Talk Gold Club sticker that's on your Super Chats for life every time you Super Chat. I want to give a big shout out to all the Gold Club members that we have here. We got Austin Tardif, we got Mo Love, Brian Love, Anthony Fuller, Nathan Glass, James Lombardo, DJ V, Patty Gustafson, my mother, she is in the house, folks. We got Elliptic 6, Alexander Watson, Zach Eckert, Troy Hart, Andrew Longoria, Jesse Johnson, Go Blue Buckeye, Samuel Pugh, Hot Rod 24, Black and Gold Emperor 40, Lord Buddy Bear, Max Payne, Chad Corley, and F1 Video Watcher. You could be next if you spend $100 total in Super Chats on today's show. And then I also want to give a shout out to our Black Diamonds here. It's a $500 Venmo. Will get you into the Black Diamond Club. These are the true craziest of the crazy here. Samuel Pugh, F1 video watcher, Nathan Glass, and Go Blue Buckeye. Can you put my Venmo up real quick here, Coop? If you put a $500 Venmo at Jack Sperry, you'll get your own customized jersey with your name and retired number here for Steelers Talk. And then also you get one of those you get your very own unique Super Chat sticker for life, all right? So you get a couple really great benefits there, and then you get even more raffle entries for all of our raffles that we do on our watch parties, all right? So thank you guys so much for all of your support. Make sure you get those Super Chats in throughout the show today. And now before we get things going into our first segment, Coop, Spam PIT. Actually, first, we've got a Super Chat right here. Let's go. Jose Antonio.
Jose?
Wait, was this a Super Chat?
Oh, hang on. This is the Super Chat. I'm sorry.
Okay, so we got Paulo Cesario with a $2 Super Chat. He says, secondary needs help. You think they go for Surtain. So I actually put out a Patrick Surtain video yesterday. So if you want to check that out after today's live show, you can check that out. I'll also answer this question on the mailbag today, Paulo, so make sure you stick around.
I just want to give a little teaser. They have internal help that they could use that is already on the roster.
Really?
Someone by the name who starts with a J. That's all I'll say.
Joey Porter Jr., folks.
That's all they need.
I love it. My mother is in the chat saying she'll give $50 to have you leave the peanut butter stash on throughout the show.
Can't do it on shows.
Can't do that because we got some cuts we got to do, and if I have a peanut butter stash on for multiple...
The bosses will not love that.
The bosses will not like that. I will be called into their office this week, and you know...
We do have to get the cuts.
We do have to get the cuts done in a professional manner today, so unfortunately I would have to leave it off. Cassie Both says, my girlfriend says, if you don't have Venmo, can they use Cash App instead?
Funny you ask.
Yes, they can. Yes, they can. Coop's going to put my Cash App up there right now. Money sign Captain Jack 19. If you guys want to use Cash App instead of Venmo as well, you can use that.
Why 19? Is that your favorite number?
What's that?
Is 19 your favorite number?
When I made the Cash App, my baseball number was 19 back in college, so that's why it was that.
Spam PIT.
All right,
let's go, baby.
For the next minute, let's break the record right here. Get those PITs in the chat. I see Ben's Randomness. I see Parker Dogs and Rabbits. I see Staler's Dad. I see DJ KJ. I see Illusion Aviator. I see Kingston. I see DJ KJ again.
True
DK
Elf.
the Enzer. Cassie Vo.
Sacola.
Get those PITs in the chat. Spam it as many times as you can. Let's go. Aaron's in here. Kyra's in here.
Oh, yeah. Look at that
now
chat.
we're going. Keep it coming. Patty's here. Parker Dogs and Smith. Jeff's here. CM Punk. Jeff Alamo's here. Sean App, True Elf, Kingston, Aaron, let's go, Sack Kala, DK the Enzer, yeah, Red Boy. Woo!
It's a bye week and we're still getting lit.
I love it, man. Thank you guys so much for your support, getting those PITs in there. Now, we're at about 146 people watching. Make sure you click that thumbs up icon and like today's stream. Let's get up to 50 likes before we get things going today.
Basically, if you don't like the stream, you're telling me you don't want the Steelers to make the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody that likes today's video wants to make the Steelers to make the playoffs. If they don't make the playoffs, it's your fault if you don't click that thumbs up icon, all right? We need 10 more likes to get our first segment going today. Who's going to get us to 50? Who's going to get us to 50, Coop? There we go. We got there. 53 likes. Coming your way now. We got some Steelers trade targets coming your way. I got 5 names that are being thrown around right now on Steelers Twitter, and I'm going to let you know what I think about those potential trade rumors. Then also, I got an updated record prediction for our Pittsburgh Steelers today. Going to let you know how I feel about this team heading outside of the bye week. And then also, if you want to get a question on the Pittsburgh Steelers on today's show, use hashtag Steelers or Super Chat to get your question on today's mailbag. What's that, Coop? Yeah, I'm good.
You were laughing at something.
I know. I was laughing at myself for kind of screwing up there. All right, so we got, first up here, we got Steelers trade targets. Coop, are we ready to get things going?
You tell me, partner.
I'm ready. All right, let's get into it right now. Steelers trade targets coming at you right now. The 2023 NFL trade deadline is just around the corner, and we know as Steelers fans that GM Omar loves to be aggressive and loves to make a move. So what players could they be targeting heading into the trade deadline this year? I've got 5 names I'm going to present to you guys today, but before I get into today's list, do me a favor. Make sure you click that subscribe button, because when a trade happens, we'll have you covered with a breaking news video. If it's a big enough name, we'll even go live and we'll party it up. So if you don't want to miss anything that the Steelers do before the NFL trade deadline this year, make sure you subscribe by clicking that subscribe button right now. All right, so now let's start with a couple of running backs here. Saquon Barkley from the New York Giants and Josh Jacobs from the Las Vegas Raiders. I think both of these guys are potential options, because I think if you trade for one of these guys, you have a real shot at developing an identity on offense. And let's face it, Steelers fans, right now the Steelers don't have an offensive identity whatsoever. You're not a passing team. You're not even a running team right now. You're not doing anything right. And getting a guy like Saquon or Josh Jacobs could potentially give you that identity. Now let's take a look at what Kenny Pickett has done to this point. And listen, it's not been great through 5 games, all right? We expected him to kind of be the main engine of the offense this year, coming into his second year in the league. But to this point, he's been disappointing. He looks a lot like he did last year during his rookie season. Below 60% completion percentage. He's actually graded as the least accurate quarterback in the National Football League through the first 5 weeks. Just over 1,000 yards passing in those 5 games. 5 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, and he's actually been pretty fortunate to have 3 very easy interceptions be dropped this year throughout the year. So you could actually say it's probably 5 to 7 interceptions, at least what it should be. But, you also, the solution isn't with the run game either. You look at Najee Harris, the number 1 back to this point. No touchdowns to this point in the season. 63 carries for 247 yards. And look at that success rate. Only 22.2 of Najee Harris's runs are considered successful runs based on the estimated points added model. That is a sabermetric model that determines the success of runs based on the down and distance. Only 22.2% of Najee's runs to this point have been successful. Now, that's obviously not all on Najee Harris. Obviously, right, this offensive line has not been fantastic this season. But getting a guy like a Saquon Barkley or a Josh Jacobs, somebody that's been a top-tier running back in this league before and has proven himself, could absolutely establish that offensive identity that the Pittsburgh Steelers are missing. You take a look at what Saquon Barkley has been able to do this season so far. 29 carries, 114 yards, and a touchdown. A success rate of 37.8 to this point. Has done a little bit better than Najee Harris here in 2023. And then you take a look at Josh Jacobs so far this season. 51.3 successful run rate there. 82 carries for 235 yards and 2 touchdowns. Both of these guys, just plain simply, I think are just better than what Najee Harris is at this point. And both of these guys right now, Saquon and Josh, they're both on 1-year deals, and they're both unrestricted free agents in 2024. The Giants and Raiders are not particularly playing well, and I do think that the Raiders and Giants, especially if they keep losing, they're going to be willing to trade their running backs here in exchange for some draft capital. And listen, if you can get a high-end running back here in Pittsburgh, it can absolutely be the identity of your offense. When your quarterback is struggling, you can, and your defense is actually legitimately pretty darn good. That's what the Steelers' situation is right now. And when you have those 2 things, poor quarterback play, or at least, replacement level quarterback play, along with really good defensive play. Right now, the Steelers are ranking top 10 in sacks and turnovers. You can absolutely win football games with a dominant run game led by a high-end running back. And I really think that having a ground and pound, old school type of system here, although it doesn't work for everybody in the National Football League, if you've got the type of defense and the talent that you have on the defensive side of the ball that the Pittsburgh Steelers have, you can absolutely survive in this league with a high-end run game mixed with an elite defense, and that's exactly what I think the Steelers could be getting if they trade for Saquon or Josh Jacobs at this point. Now, the big question is, should the Steelers go against the grain? Let's face it, this is a passing league. In the National Football League, quarterback is absolutely king, right? Screw defense, screw the run game. If you don't have a good passing game in this league, it can be tough to survive. However, if you have a really, really good defense, a top 10 level defense, mixed with a top 10 run game, you can control the clock, you can control the line of scrimmage, and you can win football games that way. And if you can get a guy like Saquon or Josh Jacobs, two guys that have absolutely shown that they can be a dominant force in this league, you can absolutely win football games in that way, and that can be your offensive identity moving forward. So you take a look at the base salaries here for Saquon and Josh Jacobs. This would be roughly what the Steelers are taking on in their salaries for this year. Now, right now, the Steelers' current cap space sits at just under $4 million. So you'd probably have to trade a player along with some draft capital in order to make these trades work. But, man, really the big question here when it comes to these types of trades is it going to be worth the price? Because you're going to have to trade probably either Patrick Peterson or Levi Wallace, and then probably a day 2 pick, a round 2 or round 3 pick in order to get Saquon or Josh Jacobs in your building. And listen, man, given the way Kenny Pickett has started this season, given the way the run game isn't getting anything going right now, I definitely think that Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin, who kind of have an older school approach, right? I mean, they put money on the defensive side of the ball. They want to prioritize the run. They might think about going out and getting a guy like a Saquon Barkley or a Josh Jacobs here at the trade deadline to really make a splash and try to set this team up for an AFC North Division championship here in 2023. Now, if you can only pick one back here to be the franchise running back moving forward here for the black and gold, pick one for me down there in the comment section. Type SB if you'd want Saquon Barkley, if you'd want Josh Jacobs, type JJ, or if you think we're good with Najee Harris and you want to see Najee be the franchise running back, give me an NH. This is also going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question. Now let's move on to something other than running back here. Let's go with the offensive line here with Trent Brown, the left tackle for the New England Patriots. Right tackle, left tackle, he can play both, but right now he's actually doing a really nice job for the New England Patriots. He's grading at 78.3, which is the highest of his NFL career. He's been a starting tackle in this league for a very, very long time. So listen, Dan Moore Jr., Chukwuma Okorafor, the two guys that were the slated starters for the Steelers this year just haven't played all that well. And you take a look at Chukwuma Okorafor's 2023 PFF grade, it is significantly lower than where Trent Brown is currently at 52.1. Chuck's currently ranks 59th out of 72 NFL offensive tackles. And for Dan Moore Jr., it's even worse as he is dead last in PFF grading among offensive tackles. Now, what would it take to get Trent Brown in the building? It's tough to say what Bill Belichick would want in return, but somebody that's, a bit older, somebody that, is getting towards the end of his contract here. I would say a 4th-round pick is probably fair, is probably what I would offer. If the Patriots want a day 2 pick for Trent Brown, I'm probably saying no. But if the Steelers give Bill Belichick a call and he says, hey, man, give us a 4th-round pick in exchange for Trent Brown, one of the top 10 graded offensive tackles in the game of football today, I am taking that every single day, and I am bringing Trent Brown here to the city of Pittsburgh. Now, I could actually see this one happening, potentially, depending on what Belichick wants in return for Trent Brown, and given that he even wants to trade him, right? I don't know if Bill is going to try to continue to keep winning throughout this season. Right now, the Patriots certainly don't look very good, and, I don't think Bill's really at the point in his career where he's like, yeah, let's go full-scale rebuild mode. Let's get rid of everybody. I'm not sure if Belichick is really at that point in his career where he's going to be willing to go full fire sale mode here. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what things go down. But also here, another thing to keep in mind is that Trent Brown, if he's available on the trade block during the NFL trade deadline this year, he's going to be a hot commodity. It's not very often where a top 10 grading offensive tackle ends up going on the trade block. It just doesn't happen very often. Good offensive tackles in this league, if they're grading well, they're usually not on the market. So this is going to be a very, very hot commodity here if Belichick puts them on the market. So it's going to be interesting to see what the asking price is going to be for Brown's services. Now, before I get into some of these other trade targets, we got 2 more to cover here. Make sure you click that thumbs up icon and like today's video. We put in a ton of time, a lot of hard work to give you guys the best damn Steelers coverage for free here on YouTube. So if you appreciate that, you want to help out the channel, click that thumbs up icon right now. Now let's go to the other side of this line of scrimmage there, to the defensive line here, where Derrick Brown, the Panthers defensive tackle, top draft pick a couple of years ago. And listen, I think Derrick Brown, this is an interesting one to me because Derrick is a really, really good football player, and particularly a run defender, which we all know the Steelers need desperately. They're missing Cam Hayward a ton right now. He's going to be out for a couple more weeks with that groin injury after getting surgery. But Derrick Brown, man, I think that the Panthers are likely going to go full fire sale mode here, trying to rebuild behind Bryce Young for the future. And Brown is one of the best young defensive tackles in the game of football today. He could be an upgrade over Larry Ogunjobi, but the thing is, I really do think that Ogunjobi probably has to be a part of the deal for this to make sense, because if you have Derrick Brown in there, you've got Larry Ogunjobi, and then you got Cam Hayward coming back. It really doesn't make sense to have all 3 of these guys on your roster, especially because Derrick Brown is about to get paid his second contract here in the NFL. He's still currently on his rookie deal. So it doesn't really make sense to still have Larry Ogunjobi on the roster if you end up trading for Derrick Brown. So I'm including him in my trade idea here. Trade Ogunjobi and a 4th for one of the best and brightest defensive tackles in the league today. Combining Derrick Brown with Cam Hayward and Keanu Benton for the next foreseeable future, probably the next 4 or 5 years, that would be extremely awesome. However, I think this is probably unlikely, right? You look at Derrick Brown, he's still really young. He's probably going to be a foundational building block for the Carolina Panthers as they attempt to rebuild that defense there in Charlotte. So I really don't think he's going to be available via trade. And even if he were, I'm not sure if the Panthers would really be interested in a guy like Larry Ogunjobi. I think they'd probably want more of like a 2nd-round pick, 1st-round pick type of compensation. And I don't think the Steelers are going to be willing to give him that. Now, up next, I still got one more trade target, and this one's kind of crazy. You're not going to want to go anywhere, but first, let's have a word from our sponsor at BetUS. Go to chatsports.com/bet and use promo code Steelers125 to get a 125% deposit bonus today on deposits of $100 to $600. So the way that this works, you put in a deposit of, say, $100 on the BetUS website, use promo code Steelers125, and they're going to give you 125% of that money. So if you put in $100, they're going to give you $125 additional dollars to use on your bets, a $225 value for just a $100 investment. I think that's a great deal if you love sports betting. So if you love sports betting, want to take advantage of this deal, go to chatsports.com/bet and use promo code Steelers125 to take advantage of this deal today. Boom! Kirk Cousins, quarterback from the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to piss a lot of people off with this one. But listen, man, okay, just hear me out for a second. I'm not suggesting necessarily that the Steelers end up making this move. I'm not suggesting it, okay? But if you take a look at the numbers, I don't think it's even a question that Kirk Cousins would be an upgrade over Kenny Pickett. You take a look at the stats this year, unequivocally, Kirk Cousins has been so much better than Kenny Pickett. Now, yes, granted, Kirk Cousins has Justin Jefferson, arguably the best receiver in the league. Yes, granted, Kevin O'Connell, the offensive play caller there in Minnesota, knows what he's doing as an offensive play caller, whereas Kenny Pickett has to deal with Matt Canada's ass. I mean, we all know that the difference is there. But you also look at the advanced stats here. Catchable ball percentage there. You look at that. Kenny Pickett is the least accurate quarterback in the National Football League in both catchable ball percentage and then on-target percentage. He's dead last in both categories among NFL starters. And then Kirk Cousins is a lot better in both of those categories. So he's definitely more accurate. He's a lot more valuable as well. Kirk Cousins has been worth just over 31 points this year, according to points above replacement. Kenny Pickett is the least valuable quarterback through 5 weeks, a negative 11.2. Big-time throw percentage, Kenny has actually got a better big-time throw percentage than Kirk, but then the turnover-worthy plays are also higher at 2.7. Now, listen, I doubt that this actually happens, and I'm not necessarily even suggesting that the Steelers should do this, right? I think Kenny should absolutely get his shot this season. That's my opinion. I think you ride or die with him this year, and then listen, if he stinks for the rest of the season, then fine. Go out and get a veteran quarterback in free agency or via trade or from the draft, all right? But I think this is really Kenny's opportunity. You don't want to wreck with that right now, and plus trading for a quarterback mid-season, Kenny would have to learn this offense from scratch in the middle of the season, and that's extremely difficult for a quarterback to do. It's super, super hard. So I am not suggesting that the Steelers end up doing this. I've seen it thrown around on Steelers Twitter, like, oh yeah, Kirk Cousins is so much better than Kenny, therefore we should trade for him. But I really don't think it's that simple. This is a game of human beings. This isn't Madden, right? It's not like you can just trade for a player and then they know the entire playbook. They have the entire playbook at their disposal and they can do whatever they want. No, that's not the way it works. Kirk would have to come here and learn everything. All right, so I just don't think that the timing is right for the Pittsburgh Steelers to get a new quarterback. If you want to go out and get a guy like Saquon Barkley or Josh Jacobs to be the identity of this offense this year as a star running back, that's a different story. I think that's possible, but getting an entirely new quarterback mid-season, I just don't think that's a viable option for the Steelers. I think it's too expensive of an option, and I don't really see it translating into success for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. Should the Steelers replace Kenny Pickett this season with another quarterback via trade or Mitchell Trubisky or whatever the case may be? Should the Steelers replace Kenny Pickett? Yes or no? I'm going to answer this one with a resounding no. I think you got to give the kid his shot. And listen, if he keeps going another 5, 6, 7 games of really bad football, maybe you think about starting Mitch for the rest of the season. But overall, I want to give Kenny every opportunity to prove himself. And if he doesn't do that, address this issue at the end of the season. All right, that's going to be it for me today, guys. Really do appreciate all of your support. If you agreed with my takes, disagreed with any of my takes, let me know down there in the comment section. Let's have a discussion about it. And then also make sure you click that subscribe button so you never miss any of our free videos here on YouTube.
Let's go!
Let's go!
We were sitting on that one for a while.
Gold Club member, my mother, Patty Gustafson, with a $50 super chat.
Thank you, Mama G.
Let's go, man.
Let's go.
Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Woo! $50. That means I've got a peanut butter stash coming my way, Coop.
Oh, do you have a towel over there?
I got a shirt.
Nope, I got you. We got some paper towels in the office.
Yep, get a towel there, Coop. And then also, we got $5 from Just Webb's World. All right, here we go. So we owe Just Webb's World a Here We Go Steelers as well. All right, let's get this peanut butter on here. This is going to be weird. All right, let's lather this up.
Just Webb's World. So should Pitt go to Minnesota and get Kirk Cousins and not? All right, so no PS2 or Branch because we need safety help. We have an entire video on PS2 down in our videos. So
yeah, so I got the peanut butter on my face now. The reason why we didn't include Patrick Surtain in that video, that Trade Targets video, is because we just talked about him yesterday, so I didn't want to be redundant. If you want to check out the possibility of trading for Pat Surtain and what it would take to get him, go ahead and check out that video. All right, here we go. Put the camera on me, Coop.
Oh, my goodness.
Actually, get some shout-outs in the chat while I have to lick this off.
Yeah, you got to lick it off here. I'm going to give some shout-outs. We have Jeanette. Excuse me. Ohio, the doctor, says hire Byron Leftwich. I agree with that. Why do we have to keep suffering, says Ray Ray. Young Noticeable. Jeff G. I fart all day is in the chat.
I fart all day. What
Yes.
an incredible name.
He says, Kenny Pickett don't need a Super Bowl ring to be a winner. As long as he give it his all, that's good enough for me. That may be good enough for you, I fart. That is not good enough for the Yens.
For the Yens.
Andrew says we need to get rid of Canada, though. Who agrees? Literally every single person that watches Steelers football.
All right, there we go.
Get a good wipe there.
Got to get this off. The rest of it, anyway. Ugh, that was weird, man. Trying something new today. Thank you to Patty Gustafson for that $50 super chat. Just Webb's World with a $5 super chat. I'll actually answer this question on the mailbag as well.
We'll answer this in the mailbag.
My mom is bodying me down in the chat. If you could grow a real mustache.
I love it, Patty.
I really can't, man. I'm just completely getting roasted by my mother on live on Steelers Talk today, Coop.
Miss Gustafson, we learned about Snicker salad here. Cassie has brought it in a couple of times.
Snicker salad is delicious.
And walleye sandwiches.
Walleye sandwiches is where it's at. All right, so make sure you get those questions down in the chat. Hashtag Steelers or Super Chat.
Let me make sure we have enough.
To get on today's mailbag. If you want to get on the show, hashtag Steelers with a question or Super Chat with a question.
I think we have enough to get by here.
We got enough to get by. I'll give them a couple of minutes here.
We'll give them a few minutes.
Put on the Super Chat menu here.
Okay. You know what? We need to show this first.
Oh, yeah, we do. Okay. So right now, we are fast approaching 34,000 subscribers here at the channel. If you're watching this and you haven't watched the show before and you want to kick it with us here on Wednesdays as well as on game days during our live watch parties where we break down the entire football game live with you guys, go ahead, click that subscribe button. This is a live sub counter. So you just saw it move right there. Every time someone clicks that subscribe button, it gets bigger. Can we get to 33,500 by the end of today's show? 20 more subs?
That's reasonable.
I think that's reasonable, man. If we get there, what should we do, Coop?
We have a surprise in store for them. That's all I'll say.
We have a surprise in store. We'll say we have a surprise for you guys if we can get to 33,500.
Hey, if you just unsubbed, F you.
There we go. They came back there, Coop. All right, so here's our super chat menu in case you missed it at the beginning of today's show. $5, we'll do a Here We Go Steelers chant. $10, you get to spin the wheel. Bunch of different stuff. Peanut butter stash is on there. Oh Canada song. Bean boozled jelly beans. All that great stuff. $10, we'll spin the wheel for you guys. $20, Coop's gonna slap me in the face with this plate. With a paper plate. These hurt really, really badly, by the way. And then $50, peanut butter stash. I'll do the peanut butter stash for you guys. Coop, by the way, says he refuses to do it.
I said there's no way.
What would be your price?
Because I have a mustache and it would just mess it all up.
I'd
have to go shower.
It would get into the stash.
It would go everywhere.
You would have to go home and shower immediately.
Have to go immediately.
All right, man.
Just Webb's World with the 2, by the way.
Let's go, Just Webb's World. He says there's a player in Minnesota. We need not Kirk, though.
A player every single team besides the Minnesota Vikings need. His name is Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, he's talking about Jordan Addison there. His favorite.
Oh, I forgot he's a Jordan Addison guy.
He is a big-time Jordan Addison guy. Now that Justin Jefferson is on the IR, Coop, there is no way they are trading him. There's no way. He's their only good receiver right now.
Yeah, so Addison's going to get the bulk of the touches for sure.
So unfortunately, Just Webb's World, like I've told you for weeks at this point, just give up on the Jordan Addison, the Steelers thing, at least for a couple of years. He's going to be a Viking for a while.
You ready to get into this mailbag?
Yeah, I'm ready to get into this mailbag. Can't wait to see what kind of questions you got for me on today's show. So let's get into these Steelers Talk questions coming at you right now. It is the Steelers Talk mailbag here during the bye week, week 6 of the 2023 NFL season. Can't wait to see the questions that you got for me here. So before we get things going, make sure you help us reach 1,000 likes on today's show before the first hour. So if you're watching this here, the first hour that this video comes out, we're trying to get that early push. We're trying to get YouTube to push this video out to as many Steelers fans as possible. Our goal is to get to 1,000 likes in the first hour. Can we make it happen? Let's make it happen right now. Click that thumbs up icon right now. Now let's get into our first question of this week's mailbag, which comes from Pablo Cesario. And he says, secondary needs help. You think they should go for Surtain. Now, I actually put out a Patrick Surtain trade idea video on the channel earlier this week. So go ahead, check that out after today's video so you can see what my take is on that. But the long short of it here is that Patrick Surtain is somebody that's going to be very difficult to acquire. I mean, just look at his situation. He's already one of the top 5 corners in the National Football League. He's currently on his rookie deal, and he's still incredibly young. So you look at his situation right now, he's one of the more valuable trade pieces on the trade market right now. It's probably going to take at least 2 first-rounders to get a deal done, and it might even be 2 firsts and a player to get a deal done for Patrick Surtain. With Kenny Pickett looking pretty shaky right now, I think the Steelers are going to try to hang on to their first-round picks just in case they need to trade for a quarterback here in the first round or trade for a veteran quarterback next offseason. So I really don't see Patrick Surtain as an option. I think the Steelers believe in Joey Porter Jr. as their lockdown number 1 corner for years to come. I don't really see Surtain being a Pittsburgh Steeler at this point. Then we got a $5 super chat from Just Webb's World 1 here. Says, so Pittsburgh should go to Minnesota to get Kirk Cousins and not PS2 or Branch because we need safety help. Now, if he's talking about Brian Branch, I mean, he's been playing incredible for the Detroit Lions. No way that they're going to trade Brian Branch. All right. Plus, I think he got hurt a couple weeks ago. Is that correct, Coop? So I don't even think he can be traded. So Brian Branch not becoming a Steeler, right? And then also Jordan Addison is who he's talking about here. Just Webb's World is a big-time Jordan Addison advocate. He wants the Steelers to trade for him. And here's the thing, man. He's a rookie. They love him in Minnesota. They're not trading Jordan Addison, especially now that Justin Jefferson's on IR. And I'm, like I said in the video there, Mr. Just Webb's World, I'm not advocating for the Steelers to trade Kirk Cousins. I'm just saying that he could be a potential trade target if the Steelers wanted to replace Kenny Pickett. If, not they should, right? So, and then I just addressed the Patrick Surtain. So, yeah, I don't think Patrick Surtain is going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Then we got one from Matt Indonesia here. Love that name. Heading into the bye week, what is your final record prediction for the Steelers right now? So actually, before this video comes out on YouTube, I'm going to be putting out my official record prediction video. So by then, it'll be coming out. So I'll actually spoil it for my live audience here. I think they're going to finish 9-8, 10-7, somewhere around there. I think Mike Tomlin is going to get this team to about a little bit over league average, just like he has been over the last 4 or 5 years, right? I just don't think they're going to enter that next level where they're going to be legitimate Super Bowl contenders. I just don't see it with the way this offense is moving. I don't see it with what they currently are putting out on the field. I think they'll be good enough to compete for a playoff spot. I think it still remains to be seen whether or not they're going to end up being a wild card this year. But I'd say the chances of them being AFC North champions this year are still pretty darn low. Now it's your turn. Down there in the comment section, what will the final Steelers record be? Will it be 9-8? Will it be 10-7? Will they get up into the 12, 13 win range after a 3-2 start? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. And before I get into the rest of today's mailbag, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Odds Are. And if you've ever wished that you could navigate the betting field with the confidence of a pro, then Odds Are is perfect for you. They're not a sports book, but they're the sports betting advisor that you've always needed. It's like having a playbook for smarter bets right in your pocket. I've been absolutely loving the experience, and I think you will too, especially since Steelers Talk listeners get a 30-day free trial. Now, let's see how this works. Now, if you take a look at what you'll see when you get into the Odds Are app and click into a matchup, you're going to see these little knobs right there, and it's going to be a red light, yellow light, green light system. Red light means do not bet. The AI of the Odds Are app is telling you, based on the trends in the National Football League, that it's not a good bet. So if you look at the win percentage right there, it's not a good value to bet on the Washington Commanders in this particular matchup, right? But then if you look at the over-under, the under is a value there. You see the green right there, and it says value. That's the green light. That's Odds Are telling you, go ahead and make that bet. It's a can't-miss type of deal. And then they also have yellow, and that's kind of the in between. It's not a great bet. It's not too bad of a bet either. I think it's super easy to use. And if you want to elevate your game today in the sports betting market and join the smart betting revolution, Go get it right now at oddsr.com/NFL Daily. That's oddsr.com/NFL Daily. Then we got one from Mr. DJ KJ coming up here. He says, can we get rid of Canada, Tomlin, and Gunner? Talking about Gunner Olszewski. I think, yes, get rid of Matt Canada, get rid of Gunner Olszewski. And listen, I understand the frustrations with Mike Tomlin. I really do, okay? The last couple of years, the Steelers have been mediocre as a franchise, right? They've gotten to the playoffs, but then they get smoked in the playoffs, right? They lose in the playoffs. They're not true Super Bowl contenders. But this is what I'll say about this, man. Mike Tomlin, the mark of a true coach is that he puts his teams in the best possible position to win. And that's what Mike Tomlin does. No matter what the stats look like in the box score, if the game is close, Mike Tomlin has the ability to get his teams into the win column more often than not. And because of that, he's been able to foster a winning culture here in Pittsburgh that's going to be very, very difficult to replicate with anybody else. All right, I'm telling you, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And I know Steelers fans are a little bit spoiled in this regard because they've only had 3 head coaches in the Super Bowl era, and they've all been relatively successful. So they think, oh, well, if we just get rid of our head coach, we'll just get another one that's really good. And that might be the case, but it's really hard to find truly great coaching in the National Football League. And although I think Mike Tomlin needs to figure some things out in terms of his personnel, especially at offensive coordinator, he deserves all the blame for that hiring and keeping Matt Canada on the staff. Not trying to, excuse him from that. But at the same time, I think he's an excellent leader of men. He controls the locker room. He's got the full respect of the locker room at this point. And honestly, I think the players want him to stick around, and they play their asses off for this man no matter what. I think if he gets the right people around him, he could once again be a Super Bowl winning coach here in the city of Bridges. Then we got one from GM Evan Hinders here. He says, bring Todd Haley back. No. Next question. Aaron Trevino says, do you think it is absurd to want a new defensive coordinator? Personally, I think the off coverage is ruining our defense. I don't think it's absurd, Aaron. I want to see how the defense kind of plays the rest of the season. Right now, the Steelers, believe it or not, their defense is 30th in yards per game allowed. They are siphoning off yards, especially against the run at this point. And then, yes, the off coverage, it's not Pittsburgh Steeler football, in my opinion, man. When I think about Pittsburgh Steelers, I think of press, aggressive coverage, blitzing, getting in the offense's face and saying, hey, beat us one-on-one, beat us down the field, beat us the way that men beat each other. Pause, says Coop. Embarrassing moment there. Anyway, yeah, the Steelers traditionally, they're in press coverage. They're aggressive. They're getting in your face. That's not what this Steelers defense is doing. And that kind of goes against what Mike Tomlin has done in his time with the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? He's traditionally a press guy, a cover Tampa 2 guy on third down, exotic blitzes on third down, that kind of stuff. Now, Terrell Austin, the current defensive coordinator, is kind of just doing a lot of cover 4 quarters, cover 6, right? Split field coverages where the corners are playing back. It's just allowing opposing offenses to siphon off 6-7 yard gains and easy first downs. It's a stupid system, in my opinion. There's a reason why these Fangio-style systems tend to not work, unless you have the exact right personnel to run it. We can see that with Brandon Staley, where he had one of the best defenses in the league in L.A. Then he goes to the Chargers, and he still hasn't fixed that defense, all right, because they still don't have the right personnel. I don't think the Steelers have the personnel to run a Fangio-style system. I still think they're built to run a Mike Tomlin, press-heavy, get-in-your-face type of defense, and that's what I want to see them run it moving forward. If Terrell Austin doesn't want to run that type of defense, absolutely. Get rid of him. Get somebody else in there that will. Then we got Yins We Go, who says, if Pickett continues to struggle before the trade deadline, could the Steelers trade for Kirk Cousins, Ryan Tannehill, or Jacoby Brissett? Could they do it? Potentially. I don't think that they will. Here's the thing with trading for a quarterback midseason. It's not like trading for a wide receiver or a defensive lineman or a running back, right? Where most people run the same concepts. Everybody knows how to run inside zone. Everybody knows how to run outside zone, trap, power. It's run pretty much the same way universally across the league. But when it comes to a quarterback who has to know everybody's responsibilities, has to know all the language of the offense, has to know the entire playbook, Trading for a quarterback midseason to be your starter is incredibly rare for a reason, and that reason is exactly that. That quarterback has to come in, learn the entire system. It's just not something that works. When you trade for a quarterback, wait till the offseason, man. Get that quarterback in your system during the offseason so they're ready to go for the season. Very rarely do you see a quarterback trade midseason. It's very difficult to do. It's very difficult to pull off and have success. So I really don't see Omar Khan pulling that trigger. I think they're going to stick with Kenny Pickett and what they have for the rest of this year. Now predict it for me down there in the comments section. Will Pickett be the Steelers quarterback in 2024, or do you think that he's going to get replaced? Type yes if you think Pickett will still be the starting quarterback here next year, or if you think he'll get replaced next offseason or even this season, type no for me down there in the comments. Next question comes from Ben's Randomness here. He says, should the Steelers start Trubisky over Pickett due to his performance before the bye? At this point, I'm going to say no, Ben. I'm going to say no right now. Now, if Pickett continues to play this way deep into the season, another 3, 4, 5 weeks, he's still not getting it done, I mean, I think the experiment's over. I do. I mean, this is his second year. He's already, I believe he's still 25 years old. You know, you only get so much time in this league to prove yourself, and I get that he's been given no favors by Matt Canada. I understand that. But you look at his stats right now. He's the least accurate quarterback in the National Football League. He has the lowest points above replacement out of any starter in the league right now. Those numbers are abysmal. They need to get better. If they don't, I think you got to at least flirt with the possibility of starting Trubisky. But for the time being, I'm still sticking with Pickett. I'm hoping that he can get this team in the win column more often than not this year. Then we got one from CM Punk who says trade for Pat Surtain or for Jalen Ramsey. Well, right now, Jalen Ramsey, I mean, he's got a massive contract, Coop. I really don't see the Steelers trading for him just because they can't afford him. Plus, he's injured right now. And then Pat Surtain, similar situation where I think that the price that Denver's going to want for him is just going to be too steep. 2 first-rounders and then probably a player is probably what they're going to want. I don't think Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin are going to be willing to give up that kind of draft capital. Plus, you've got Joey Porter Jr. sitting in there who's looked really, really good. I think he's going to be the legit number 1 lockdown press man corner that this team has been looking for in the years to come. I think he's going to get more playing time as the season goes on. I think in the end, I'm not sure if you necessarily need a Pat Surtain, which is why I don't think they end up trading for him. Then we got one from Hank Williams here. He says, do you think Matt Canada will get fired after this week? And if so, how much do you see the offense improving under his replacement? Now, Hank, Steelers don't play this weekend. They're on their bye. So I'm guessing you mean in week 7 when they play the Los Angeles Rams. And listen, if it's another terrible game, if they score 3 points, absolutely I could see him getting fired. I could see him getting fired for the rest of this season, right? They haven't done it to this point, which is like, what does Matt Canada have against the Rooney family and Mike Tomlin? I mean, that's just a joke. That's not an actual accusation or anything. But, I mean, good Lord, you got to get rid of this guy, man. I mean, I'm guessing the reason why they're keeping him is because they won the game in week 5 against the Ravens. But that was no thanks to him, right? It was the defense creating turnovers. That was Kenny Pickett audibling against cover 0, hitting George Pickens for the touchdown, right? That has nothing to do with Matt Canada. Matt Canada called a really bad game, in my opinion, against the Ravens, and he should have been fired. He's not, so it's definitely going to be a question of when and if Mike Tomlin ends up pulling the trigger here on Matt Canada. Hopefully, it's sooner rather than later. Now, don't miss out. Go ahead right now. Click that subscribe button for me right now if you want to join the most interactive Steelers community here on YouTube. We've added over 1,000 subscribers in just the last week. Guys, we are growing like crazy. We work our butts off to give you guys the best damn Steelers coverage on the planet Earth. So if you want to join our family today and you want daily and free Steelers coverage here on YouTube, go ahead, click that subscribe button right now. All right, man, 2 down.
Uno mas.
Uno mas. One more to go here before we'll say goodbye for the day. We still got my updated Steelers record prediction coming up here, Coop.
I'm curious to see what you have to say because I remember when we did this before the season, you said 13-4.
I said 13-4 to start the season because I thought Kenny
The schedule looked easy.
It looked like Kenny Pickett was going to be that guy, Coop. It looked like,
and he is not.
in the preseason, he was the MVP, not only of this team,
Of the league.
of the entire NFL.
Yeah.
He was incredible. 5 drives, led the team to 5 touchdowns. It was looking like this offense was finally going to figure it out, and I drank the Kool-Aid. And unfortunately, I mean, that was
I'll
bad.
say this, though.
That was bad Kool-Aid, man.
I think they're lucky to be 3-2 after 5.
I would say that as well. I mean, if it wasn't for the defense really creating turnovers against Cleveland, against Las Vegas, and against the Ravens,
No doubt.
we would have been toast. We would have been toast. That's just the simple reality on the ground. Now, I think that's a testament to Mike Tomlin's culture here, where it's like this team is resilient as hell, even with one of, if not the worst offense in the National Football League right now. You're still 3-2, and you're sitting at the top of this division. I mean, to do that as a head coach, to get this team to play that way and to win this many games already, that's already a testament to Mike Tomlin, in my opinion. And now you're getting Deontay Johnson back, right? You're getting Anthony McFarland back, which hopefully means we'll finally cut Gunnar Olszewski.
Sure. He sucks.
He's terrible, man. He should not be on the field, plain and simply.
We asked the question who the better player is between Deontay Johnson and George Pickens. It looks like the comments are all saying George Pickens.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, I really like Deontay. I think he's a very valuable piece of this offense, and we've seen that. With him out of the lineup, this offense blows.
It stinks. They need Deontay Johnson to take attention off of
but,
Pickens.
I mean, if George Pickens was hurt, this offense would have been worse, right? George Pickens, if it wasn't for his touchdown against the Ravens, and if it wasn't for the touchdown against the Browns, we'd be sitting at 1-4 right now.
By the way, Nick Castellanos just hit a home run, so someone probably just died.
Okay.
Do you get it?
Very random note from Coop there.
Well, bad things happen when Nick Castellanos hits home runs.
That is very true.
I wanted to answer this question from Aaron. I'm sad we didn't get to this in the mailbag. I just thought it was a good question, so I'm going to bring it up.
So Aaron asks, do you think that a lot of Pickett's pressure is self-inflicted with his tendency to leave clean pockets, or would you say it's mostly on the O-line? It's definitely a mix, right? The offensive line has not been good. Let's just acknowledge that right off the bat.
It hasn't been good.
But then also, Kenny, I don't know if it's because he's got awful offensive line play, but this was also an issue of his in college, Aaron, where Kenny would be in a clean pocket, and if his first or second read isn't there, he tends to do this like spin move. Like he likes to spin out.
He gets happy feet.
It's happy feet. He likes to get outside the pocket. He's gotten a little bit better at this. Like he's had a couple examples this year of him stepping up in the pocket, so there's growth there, but it's still too much. It is still too much of the getting outside the pocket too early, and he gets himself into trouble way more than he actually should. So I don't know which one is much more the problem. I think they're both an issue, Coop. So I'm not sure if I can nail one down as this one is the issue. I think it's both an issue, and at the end of the day, it's like
they got to get better.
You got to get better, man. I'll put it this way: if Mitchell Trubisky was in there,
we'd all be calling for his head.
It's still not great, right?
Oh, of course.
Like the protection is still not going to be good, right? So it's not like a better quarterback in there when it comes to pocket presence is really going to make it that much of a difference, right? The offensive line has not been good to this point. Can't hide behind that, but also can't hide behind the fact that Pickett puts himself in trouble a lot too.
No doubt.
So
Toxic says Pickett needs to get rid of the gloves, and then he'll be way better.
I don't know about that, man. I don't know. It gives him some nice grip. He's got those small hands.
Those gloves have absolute crazy grip.
The grip definitely helps him. I think he would be a lot worse without the gloves, especially because he's so used.
He's so used to it,
He's so used to having the gloves. So I think you're getting him with gloves, or you're not getting him at all. All right,
Daniel Moore's in the chat. Is that Dan Moore Jr.'s burner?
Maybe, man. Dan Moore Jr.
Maybe him and Dan Robbins are hanging out.
Dan Moore Jr. Can you please explain to our audience why you are the lowest graded offensive tackle in the National Football League through the first 5 weeks? Please explain that to our audience, Mr. Dan Moore Jr. All right, so last chance here to get some super chats in there. We got one more segment to get to, as you can see down below. Updated schedule prediction for the Pittsburgh Steelers coming your way in about 2 minutes. But if you want to put in a super chat, $5, we'll do a Here We Go Steelers chant. $10, we haven't spun the wheel yet, Coop. I want to spin that wheel.
I want to wave the towel. I want to spin the wheel.
I want to spin that wheel today, man. $10, we'll spin the wheel. $20. We'll do a plate slap. We don't have any tortillas today, but these things hurt worse, actually.
And there's peanut butter on it now.
So $50, I'll do a peanut butter stash. Put some peanut butter on there, lick it off on camera. It's kind of dumb, but we're trying something new, Coop.
Cassie says KP's gloves are like Ted's driving gloves from How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah, kind of.
A little bit.
A little bit like that. I mean, not exactly, because he's got kind of smaller hands, so he needs them to actually grip the football. Ted's gloves are just stupid. So, but $100 total today. If someone sends in $100, get to join Gold Club, get that sticker, get the extra raffle entries for our watch parties. But without further ado here, we got 156 people watching. Let's get into this updated Steelers record prediction.
In 1 second.
Coop says 1 second. I was ready to go.
Coop's ready now.
Coop is ready now.
Yep.
All right, let's get into this updated record prediction for your Pittsburgh Steelers coming at you right now. The Steelers are 3-2 and sitting atop the AFC North standings here as they head into their bye week in Week 6 of the 2023 NFL season. But how do I see the rest of the season going? I'm going to give you guys my updated Steelers record prediction here on today's edition of Steelers Talk. But before we get into it, get in the comment section and get the ball rolling by answering this question. What is the % chance that the Pittsburgh Steelers make the 2023 playoffs this year? Put it on a scale of 0 to 100. Give me that % chance down there in the comment section. So take a look at the Steelers so far, and listen, 3-2, right? You get absolutely trounced by the 49ers, arguably the best team in football right now, 30-7 on your home turf, whatever. All right, but then you're home in Week 2. You squeeze out a win against the Cleveland Browns, 2 defensive touchdowns, 71-yard slant touchdown to George Pickens, right? Lots of things go your way in that football game. Same thing in Week 3. You turn over Jimmy Garoppolo and the Raiders a bunch of times, and you get a little bit of mojo going on offense, 23-18. Then it goes back to square one against the Texans on the road, losing 30-6, an absolute embarrassment. But then you get the Ravens, who absolutely shot themselves in their own face, and you come away with a 17-10 victory. So you're sitting at 3-2. You're at the top of the standings right now. So now let's go over the rest of these games here on the schedule. Starting with Week 7 next week when the Steelers play the Rams on the road, I'm going to say they lose this football game. I think overall the Steelers roster is a lot better, but Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford have this offense rolling. You're going to have to deal with both Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, and I just don't think the Steelers secondary can do that right now. Kenny Pickett and this offense I don't think are going to be able to keep up. On the road as well, I think the Rams come away with the victory in Week 7, and the Steelers go down to 3-3. Then versus the Jaguars at home, right? The Jaguars just beat the Buffalo Bills, man. Very impressive victory. The Jags are looking pretty darn good after 2 double-digit wins in a row. I think that this is a winnable football game because the Jaguars' offensive line isn't all that good, so the Steelers' pass rush might make a major impact, and the Steelers might get the upset at home. But right now I'm going to chalk that up as a loss. Then on Thursday Night Football, playing a really well-coached Titans team. Their offense is struggling right now as well, but I'm also going to say that that's a loss. I think 3 straight losses are coming your way. Now, I will say, I think these 3 games are all winnable for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They could easily win 3 straight in a row here, and you're feeling really good about the Pittsburgh Steelers. However, I think with the Titans, the defense is really good down there in Tennessee, in my opinion. Mike Vrabel's a great defensive coach. I think the Steelers' offense is really going to struggle on Thursday Night Football. And then also the Titans, I'd like Derrick Henry as the running back. The Steelers haven't really been able to stop the run this year. I think Derrick Henry kind of runs all over them, and that's why I have them losing that game as well. But, I think that things are going to get better. You're going to see that as this schedule prediction continues forward. But, hey, if they lose the next 3 games and you go down to what would it be then? 3-5 at that point? Would you fire Matt Canada? Would he be fired at that point? Type F if you think he'd be fired after 3 straight losses, or if you think that he's not fired, he's sticking around in Pittsburgh to the end of the season no matter what. Type N for not fired. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question. Now in Week 10, after 3 straight losses, you get back in the win column, improve your record to 4-5 with a win over the Packers. I think the Packers, especially on defense, are so poorly run right now. Jordan Love is not it as an NFL quarterback. He's a backup quarterback, in my opinion. I think the Steelers come away with a victory here in Week 10. hopefully with the first week without Matt Canada as the offensive coordinator. And then you go away to the Browns. You go to the Browns, and guess what? I'm going to have them get their second straight victory. I think this is going to be a close game, but I think like we've seen here in the first 5 weeks, when the game is close, Mike Tomlin and his culture shines through, and the Steelers find a way to win the ball game. I'm going to say the Steelers sweep those dreaded Brownies here in 2023. But then you go to the road against the Bengals. I'm going to say they lose that football game. I think that by that point, Joe Burrow is going to be completely healthy, and I don't think the Steelers offense is going to be good enough at that point to really get things going enough to keep up and win a shootout. Then in Week 13 against the Cardinals, that's absolutely a game you should win. Can't fall into the trap right there. You just simply can't. Jonathan Gannon and the Cardinals are still bad, but they're not quite as bad as I thought they were going to be heading into the year. So kudos to Jonathan Gannon, I guess, for that, but not a talented roster at all. Should be a pretty easy victory for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Speaking of easy victories, I don't know if there's ever an easy victory against Bill Belichick, especially when you got a young quarterback, but I'm going to predict the Steelers to win this game. The Patriots look like an absolute dumpster fire right now, even on defense, Bill Belichick's side of the ball. So I think the Steelers are going to win that football game, and until the Patriots prove otherwise, I'm going to chalk that one up as a win. So 3 out of 4 here gets you to over 500 here, 7-6 heading into the home stretch. All right, so even though you take those 3 losses right after the bye, you're still sitting at 7-6. You're still in position to potentially get a playoff spot. So coming up here, I'm going to break down the final 4 games of the Pittsburgh Steelers schedule here for 2023. But before I get into this playoff push, go ahead and check out our friends at BetUS. If you love sports betting, you're going to want to take advantage of this deal. Chatsports.com/bet, promo code Steelers125 for a deposit bonus of 125% today. What that means is you put a deposit of $100 to $600. They're going to match that 125% to use on your bet. So if you put in a $100 deposit, they're going to give you $125 additional dollars to use on your bets. A $225 value for just a $100 investment. If you love sports betting, you're not going to get a better deal than this. So go to chatsports.com/bet and use promo code Steelers125 to get that deposit bonus today. Now down the home stretch here. On the road versus the Indianapolis Colts, I have them losing. Now, the reason why I have them losing is because Shane Steichen has done an incredible job scheming stuff up for that offense. Even the defense looks a lot better than it did last year. So I think it's a really well-coached team. And you look at the Steelers to this point in the season against well-coached teams, San Francisco, Houston, teams that know what they're doing. They lose those football games, especially now that it's going to be on the road. I think Shane Steichen is going to do a good job to scheme things open for his team, and I think it's going to end up in a loss for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then you get to the Bengals here, and I think it's going to be a win. I think you're going to split with the Cincinnati Bengals this year. Big-time win, statement victory for this team, trying to get to a playoff spot here, a big-time victory at home versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Then you travel to the Seahawks. I think it's going to be a loss. I think the Seahawks are a really good a decent football team. I think their defense is a bit overrated right now, but it's really tough to go into Seattle and win. That's just the reality of the situation. The Seahawks are going to be fighting potentially for their playoff lives at that point. 2 very desperate teams. I think the Seahawks are going to come away with the victory there. And then it's going to come down to Week 18. The playoffs may be on the line. And guess what? I have the Steelers sweeping the Baltimore Ravens this year as well. So you go 5-1 in the division, and that's really where you have most of your success if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have them going into Baltimore Week 18. If they need a victory to make the playoffs, I think they get it done. And my final record prediction right now, Coop, is 9-8. I think that right now, I think the ceiling for this team is actually still pretty high. My ceiling is I still think it's going to be 13-4. But then I think the floor is 8-9. I just don't really see Mike Tomlin losing more than 9 games. I think that he's going to get this team to at least league average, at least 500, right around that area. I think that's the floor. And honestly, right now with the way the offense is playing, the defense is giving up. I think they're 30th in yards allowed per game right now. That needs to improve. There's still a whole lot that I need to see from this team to really show that confidence. For them to be a team that can win 12, 13 games this year. Right now, I think they're probably on the lower end of their spectrum. 9-8, it'll get you close to playoff contention. Not sure if it'll actually get you there, but it's definitely going to be an interesting rest of this season. Hopefully, Kenny Pickett and this offense can turn things around so I can once again adjust this record prediction. But until I see something different from this offense, I'm going to go with 9-8, and they're going to be right on the precipice of a playoff berth. Now it's your turn. Let me know your official Steelers record prediction down there in the comments section. Put it down there in the comments. I want to see what you guys got, and I can't wait to see how you're feeling about the Pittsburgh Steelers at this point. That's going to be it for me today, guys. Really do appreciate your support. If you want more Steelers content on Twitter, I put up a bunch of stuff on my Twitter at Jack_Sperry, film analysis, injury updates, all that good stuff. If you want additional Steelers content from me on Twitter or X, whatever you guys want to call it, I don't even know what to call it nowadays, go ahead, go to at Jack_Sperry and give me a follow. All right, so that's where I'm at right now, 9-8. Coop, what do you think? Where do you think they're going to end up?
9-8 sounds about right. It really depends on what happens in the division, I think. You have the 2 games against the Bengals. You have one against the Browns and one against the Ravens, right?
Yeah.
So if you go 3-1 in those games, then you have a good path to make the playoffs.
And by the way, I think these next 3 games against the Rams, the Jaguars, and the Titans, I think it's going to determine.
They're all winnable games.
They're all winnable games. I have them losing all 3 of them just because, I think Jacksonville's hot right now. LA, their passing offense is awesome this year, and I think that'll be the difference. And then Tennessee, I think Derrick Henry's probably going to run all over our run defense. Unless our run defense really gets better in that time, I just don't really see us really holding up against Derrick Henry. I hope I'm wrong.
Even if they lose those 3 games, though, like you showed, that doesn't mean the season's over.
Yeah, I still think it's a pretty favorable schedule, right? This is assuming you don't lose a game against the Patriots or Cardinals.
You can't afford to lose those games.
Right, and then also if you can steal a win against the Colts on the road, that would be a nice win as well.
Yeah.
Playoffs are definitely not out of the question for the Steelers, right? Especially if this offense can get it together. But just given what we know right now, 30th in yards per game on offense, 30th in yards per play allowed on defense. That's not a winning strategy right there. That's not a winning formula, right? You're not going to have 2 turnovers for touchdowns in every single game, right? You're not going to be able to turn teams over 3 times in a game every week, right? You're going to have your offense actually move the football and score in the red zone at some point.
Of course.
And right now, I just don't see that from Matt Canada and Kenny Pickett. That's just not what I see right now.
I wanted to say that as well. You kind of brought it up. That's not just a Matt Canada problem. That is also a Kenny Pickett problem.
Yeah, when I look at Steelers Twitter, there's a lot of people that either blame it all on Kenny Pickett, and they're like, oh, well, how can Matt Canada call plays with a quarterback this bad?
That sounds like Dan Robbins.
It sounds like Dan Robbins. And then there's the other side of the coin there.
Who only blame Matt Canada.
Yeah. Right? It's both of them, guys. It's both of them. The offensive play calling isn't doing Pickett any favors, and
Pickett isn't doing himself any favors.
The accuracy has been the worst in the league.
Pickett needs to be better.
He needs to play better. Plain and simply, the mental processing, especially against zone, needs to get better. These teams that we're going up against, they understand that Pickett isn't really good at anticipating open space versus zone coverages, and they're exploiting that. And if he doesn't get better at that, if he doesn't get better with his pocket presence, if he doesn't get more accurate, he's not going to turn out. He's just not. So he needs to improve a lot. He has to really take the time during the bye week to improve himself. Last year, after the bye,
he got much better.
He was much better. He didn't turn the ball over. He was winning football games as the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Coop. And that's all I ask from him. All I ask from him is that he doesn't turn the ball over and then he makes the big play in the close game.
That's all we need. I'll say this.
That's what he did against the Ravens.
He made the big play last week.
He made the big play. That's what he did against the Raiders last year. That's what he did against the Ravens towards the end of the season last year. He's capable of being a game manager that can deliver in the clutch. That's what the Steelers need out of him. Hopefully they get that out of him here for the rest of the season. But if he continues to put the ball in harm's way and turnover-worthy plays and all this different stuff, it's going to be a difficult ride for the Steelers offense here, especially as long as Matt Canada is here.
And also, to just compound their problems, we know Matt Canada hasn't been great. We know Kenny Pickett hasn't been great. The offensive line has not been great either. And the game starts in the trenches.
So yeah, the defense is weird because they're top 5 and even top 10 and top 5 in some very key categories. Sacks and turnovers, they're getting the production there, no doubt about it. But you look at the macro numbers there, the yards per game, points per game. They're in the bottom half of the league in those types of numbers. That's definitely concerning to me, Coop, as we move on to the rest of the season, especially when you play good offenses like the Los Angeles Rams coming up, right? So I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. Playoffs are definitely within reach, but this team needs to get better, Coop.
Got to get better.
I think we have the talent to get it done. We have the talent to be a 13-4 team. I really believe that. If everything falls into place here for the rest of the season, I think we go 13-4. But the thing is, things just haven't been falling into place so far this year, and I'm not sure they will.
I think the bye week came at the right time for this team.
Oh, yeah. I absolutely agree with that. You're getting James Daniels back after the bye. You're getting Deontay Johnson back, which is going to open up George Pickens. I mean, we're seeing George get bracketed on almost every play now because nobody else is afraid of Allen Robinson.
Or Calvin Austin.
Right? Nobody's afraid of those guys. They'll be afraid of Deontay Johnson. They're not leaving that guy one-on-one every single time. So I think getting Deontay Johnson back will help a bit. I think 9-8, 10-7 is probably where we're sitting at with the Pittsburgh Steelers. That means it's probably going to come down to Week 18 against the Baltimore Ravens. And man,
oh boy,
that Week 18 watch party is going to be nuts, man. All right, that's going to be it for today's show, guys. Thank you guys so much for all that you do for the channel. We're not going to be having a watch party this week, obviously, because the Steelers don't play. But we'll see you guys in a week here for the next edition of the Steelers Talk live show. Thank you guys so much for your support. And now, here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. All right, man. Love y'all. Thank you so much for your support.
See y'all.
Make sure you click that subscribe button. Coop, did we hit our mark, by the way?
Not quite.
How far
16 away.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get there. All right, so
that's okay.
That's all right. We'll get them next week. All right, I really do appreciate all of your guys' support. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already for more Steelers content throughout the week. And until next time, from me and Jeffrey Coop, we'll see you guys later.